And here we go. Iam viro, but now, viro's but, tempora curarum, genitive, remissionum qui, the enclitic which joins these two, they're both genitives, divisa. So divisa and tempora are ablatives, so we have in the sentence, but now the time is divided of cares and remissions. So it means the time of doing your duty and your time off duty is the remission. Ubi conventus. Now this conventus looks like it's a noun. So when there were meetings in judicia postgerent, so when they were assembled in the law court, the judicia demanded postgerent, intentus, it looks like a past passive, so it's nominative, so he was intent on his bearing. This is what his mind was doing. His mind was gravis, serious. Severus, he was severe. Et sapius, and rather often misericors. So that's another adjective, meaning he did have mercy and took pity on people. Okay, ubi, so when, officio is duty, satis, that's the adverb, factum. So when he had satisfactorily done his duty, his official duties, or he completed his work, nulla ultra, so beyond this, nothing, potestis persona. He had no power beyond this in his persona or in his face. So he did his work, and once the work was done, he was back to his normal self. And that looks like a typo, that thing there. Actually, it's not a typo because it goes in this bracket. So tristiam, that's accusative, and adrogiantiam, and aviriam exurat. So the nominative is part of the verb here. So exurat, he had shaken off his tristiam, which can be sad or his grim looking, and his arrogance, and his greed, his avarice. He shook these off, took them off. Nec illi, so we'll take that as to him. Neither for him, quod est rarissimum, it's a superlative, what is most rare, or facilitas. This can mean an opportunity, or it could just mean his facility. Auctoritatem or severitatis amorem diminished. So for him, love didn't diminish, or being kind, which is most rare in a person, his ability to use his authority and his severity. So he had a pretty consistent character. Integritatem, accusative, and abstintentiam, another accusative. This can mean self-restraint. We probably get the word abstinence from it in English. In tanto vero, this is in with the ablative. In such a man, referre, that's the verb. Inuria virtutum. Then we have another accusative for it. So, in such a man, to refer as an injury or an insult to his virtues, integrity and self-control, you can't treat these as injurious to such a man. Ne famem quidem. So ne quidem means not even famem. That's his fame or his rumour, his report. It's not even his fame. Cui sapi etiam bona indulgent, to which often even the good, plural, people, indulge in. We've got a gerund here. Ostentanda, in an ostentatious display. Virtute, so we would say in valour, because it's an ablative, or through his art or skill, which is accusative, quiescivit. So he didn't seek, not even his fame, which even the good people indulge in, an ostentatious display of his virtues or through his arts, through his skills. Procol ab emulatione adversus collegas. So he is far from in rivalry adversus towards his colleagues. Procul again. Far from the contentions against the procurators. These are people who are government officials. And you see we have ab before the vowel and a before the consonant. En vincere, to prevail or to win. In gloriam and a terrae, which is a passive infinitive. Sordidum, which is dirty or disgusting or underhanded. Arbitrabiter. Okay, so that's just a passive third person. And he thought it was inglorious to prevail and dirty to be worn down, basically. So he thought it wasn't good to succeed in these things, and he didn't like being beaten or worn down. Minus triennium. This is 3 years. So less than 3 years in ea legatione. So as this delegate in this delegation, he was in less than 3 years detentus, past passive. He was retained in it or detained in this duty. And immediately ad spem consulatus revocatus, another past passive saying, and immediately he was recalled to the hope of a consulship. That's a fourth declension word. Revocatus est goes together. We've got a present participle ablative here, being a companion. So he was accompanied with the opinion, Britannium, accusative, ei dative, so that with him was the opinion that he would be given Britain provinciam. So these are both together, the province of Britain, apposition. Nullius in hoc ipsius sermonibus. So this was not in hoc ipsius, not in his words, but because par videbator, because it seemed equal or fitting. Like we have in golf, par means it's expected that this would seem to have happened. Hord semper erat fama. Very short sentence. So not always is fama, rumours, wrong. Erat can mean wandering or wrong. So not always are the rumours wrong. Aliquando et elegit. So sometimes also elegit, it chooses, and that being the subject. Consul, nominative. Then we have egregiae, which is a genitive or a plural. Then spe, that's a fifth declension, filiam. So the consul, his daughter, then, tum, of especial hope. Special is a nice word to translate that. Juvenae mihi, with me as a young man, despondit. So he promised in marriage his daughter to me, then a young man. And post-consulatum, after his consulship, collarcovit, so another way of placing her in marriage. So despondent is when they became engaged, and collarcovit was being placed in the marriage. Et statum, and immediately, Britanniae of or to, praepositus est. So this means he was placed in charge of Britain. So we'll take it as a genitive. Adjecto, and added to this, this is ablative absolute, with sacerdote, which is a priesthood, and with an added priesthood, pontificatus. So he became the pontiff, priest. Chapter 10. Britanniae situm populosque. So the placing of Britain and its peoples, so geographically, its site and its people, multis scriptoribus memoratus. Okay, so its people are in accusative plural. These are remembered, memoratos, in many scriptures. Many people have written about them. And not in comparationem, not in a comparison. I will refer to them in a comparison. We've got VE here, which is an enclitic, so of the cares or of their characters. So he's not going to make a comparison with these many other writers about their characters or their duties. Sed quia, but because tum primum per domita est, but because then first they were subdued, they were domesticated, these wild people, and that is a per domita. You see, it's got that female a, which is also of a neuter plural. Itaque priores. So thus, relative pronoun, where priores, the earlier writers, nondum, have not yet comperta, not yet discovered, basically that means, percolvere, where these prior writers have filtered this through, not yet comperta eloquentia, so not yet with their full eloquence or rhetoric. Tradento, it shall be handed over, fide, with some sort of honesty in the matter, or a simple faithful narration. Britannia, the Britain insularum of the islands, quas Romana notitia. So of the islands which are known to the Romans, or which the Romans know, complectator maximum. It is the Maxima island. It's the biggest island, complectator, which goes around, which they know of. Spatio and Calo, so in space and in the heavens, or in its climate. Actually, no, it probably does mean it in its sky. In Orientem Germanae, so towards the east is Germany. We've got that AE at the end, and Occidentem. So towards the west, it's Obtentators. It stretches out to Spain. Gaul in Meridium, Etiam Inspector. So it looks out even to Gaul in the south Meridium. Septroniala Eos. And to its north, Eos north, there's Nullius contra terras. There's no land up there against it. But a vasto and aperto mare pulsata. But there pulsates a vast and open sea. So pulsates probably the way that the waters are pulsating about. The form of totius, all of Britain, another genitive. The old Livius, Veterum Livius, Livy the Old, and Fabrius Rusticus the Recentium, most eloquent. So we have the superlative. So these are, plural, the most eloquent auctores, authors, Livy of Old and Fabius Rusticus of the recent authors. Oblongae scutale, or by pennae ad simula vere. So they're comparing the form of all of Britain to an oblong, which is like rectangular, scutulae, which is a pan, or the lobe calls it a shoulder blade, or by pennae, which is double-winged or a double-headed axe. Et est ea facies, and this is its appearance. It's facies, citra, preposition Caledonia, up to Caledonia, unde, from where in universum fama est. So this is appearance as far as here, from where the whole universal report of it is said to have been in that shape. Transgressis. So when you cross immensum and enorme spatium. Enorme is taking the E because spatium's neuter. So when you cross an immense and enormous space, procurrentium, which is running, that looks like some sort of, we've got the NT there of a present participle. So this runs across to the extremo, or the last, yam now already, litore shore. So this here is an ablative, extremo litore. So when you cross a huge and enormous space, it runs to the last shore, terrarum, of the land, velut, as if, tenuator, it thins down in cunium, into a wedge. Hanc orem. So this shore, novissimi maris, novissimi means the most recent, but it's also like last. So this was the last of the seas, tunc primum, then, which first Romana classes, that the Roman fleet circumvector, that's past passive, as in Romanas and circumvector. So the Roman fleet circumvector, they sailed around it, and so this was first done by the Romans, and this was the last of the sea, and they affirmed the insula, the island, to be Britain, or they affirmed Britain to be an island, more like it. And simul incognitos, and simul eximul, eximul incognitus. So at the same time, the unknown, ad id tempus, to this time, id and tempus and neutus. So at the same time, the unknown insulas, these islands which were unknown at that time, quas orcadas vocant, which they called the Orcades. In Venet they found domit qui, there's the enclitic, and they domesticated it, they domwitted it, so they tamed it. Dispecta est also et Thule. So they surveyed also Thule, quia because, iusum, in the accusative, they'd been ordered, hac tenus. This is an adverb, means hac and tenus. Tenus is a post positive. So their orders are only thus far. And Hemes is winter in the nominative, at Petabat was was approaching or was at hand. So winter was at hand, and they only surveyed as far as Thor, which had been as far as they'd been ordered to go. Sed mare pigrum, but the sea was pigrum, which is lazy or sluggish. We were in some sort of neuter, because mare is a neuter. And grave, and was heavy, remigantibus, to the rowers, perhibent. So as it applies to the rowers, the sea was very hard and heavy and sluggish. Ne quidem, that not even with wind, ventus, so that they could atolle, so that they could be moved by the winds. Credo, I believe, quod rariores, because it is rarer, terre montesqui, for land and the mountains are more rarer, that's plural. The cause and material tempestatum, of storms. So he believes that land and mountains are the cause and reasons for why there are storms. And profunda moles. So these are the deep masses underwater. Continue maris is the basically of the continuing seas, or the continuing water keeps going out with these deep underwater things. Impellitor, which are push it. Tardius, that's a comparative, rather slowly. Naturem accusative of the ocean. The nature of the ocean, atqui aestus, that's the fourth, and the tide. So the nature of the ocean and the tide, nequi querere. Neither should they be looked into, huis operis, in this work, and many people retulere. They've made reports of this before. And to finish up, unum addiderum. One thing I shall add, nusquam, nowhere, latius, more widely, dominare mare, is the sea to be tamed. Multum fluminum, many rivers or watercourses, hac an illuc here and there, fere, they are born here and there. Nec litor tenos, tenos is post-positive. Neither as far as shore, in the ablative, ad crescere or resorbere. This is a tide growing and being reabsorbed, so it ebbs and flows. Sed in flore penitus, but they flow in penitus deeply, and imbere, that's round in circuits, and jugus etiam, and these are ridges or the yokes of the mountain lines, and the mountains insurae. So they go as far as hills and mountains, velut, as if in suo, in their own element.